Today, I am getting to speak to the very lovely Erica Wessels. Erica is a Cape Town-based actress and is very well known, especially in the Afrikaans acting world. So TV, she's been Dwaalster, Feinskrif, Ersondes, you might recognize her from that. Even on Showmax, if you went onto Showmax, there was a little Erica Wessels collection where you could watch all of Erica's movies. They spelled her name wrong. I'll tell you that.
I know. I was like,
I know, but you can still see Erica on Showmax, on Trouwvoete. She's been in Treegrond, Hatchet Hour, Alles Wat Mal is, and she's an award-winning actress. So you name the award in this country, Erica's been nominated. She recently won the Silver Scatumfeest Award. She's won 2 Florida Caps, and she is very kindly allowing me to see her in her bedroom. And today we're going to talk about how she is dealing with lockdown, how is she dealing with COVID and being a mom, being a wife, and being an actress. So Erica, thank you so much for joining me on the line from Cape Town.
thank you. It's so fun. I haven't seen your face in 1,000 years, so this is just the best.
It is nice. And you were saying earlier that it's given you reason to put makeup on. And
I know. I even put on some dry shampoo, and I did makeup. I did liquid eyeliner. I was like, you know.
I have gel in. That's a fact. I've only got about 3 strands of hair, but I put gel into those 3 strands. So Erica,
there's something about dressing up which makes you feel good.
Yeah, and that's actually, I mean, let's go straight into the coping skills. And one of the things that they say is that you should get up and get dressed. And it's for people who work from home, they probably know this, is that you get up and dress for work, even if you're going to be working from home and no one's going to see you, because it's actually creates that mindset of I'm going to work now.
And also, Clive, I'm a mother of a 7.5-month-old. I ain't gonna get dressed every day.
And that's fine. To be very honest with you, I'm not wearing pants, so yeah.
I'm in sweatpants at the bottom. Yeah.
I knew you would be. So Erica, so to start off with, we were talking before we started recording, and one of the companies that I used to work for recently announced their closure, Caxton Magazines. And it's devastatingly sad that this is where print had got to, but because of COVID, it kind of forced them into this place where they had to close. And I have right here, one of the little surprises, I said, there is Erica on the cover of Roy Rosa magazine, their very last issue. I'm sorry to say, but the Caxton magazine has announced their closure. Hopefully someone will buy it and carry on with it. But how does it feel knowing that you are part of, I mean, Roy Rosa has a legacy of over 70, nearly 80 years.
I think it's 80,
and you're a part of that.
Yeah. No, it's quite surreal, and it's obviously a wonderful thing to be part of. I mean, I never, when I was a kid, thought I was going to be on a cover of a South African magazine or whatever. But
you've been on a few.
I mean, we had incredible experiences during the shoots. You know, there was something about having your voice heard for whatever time. I think this was my 4th or my 5th cover with them, and
wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's surreal, right? I guess it's interesting. It brings up the conversation of where is anything that's printed going. I mean, is it all just was this just fast forwarding the whole process? I don't know.
Print is about contact, obviously, and so everything's kind of moving digitally, and I wonder if things will turn around, because at the moment everything to do with contact is seen as bad because it's COVID-19. We can't touch each other, we can't hug each other, we can't I was talking to my sister yesterday, and she's a school teacher, and they are not allowed to pass around paper. Everything has to be done on tablets, like it's, with the kids who are returning to school. So you look at that, and basically anything that's had to do with contact is dying, and I wonder if there isn't going to be a resurgence, that when we can all hug each other and touch things again, if we're not going to go back to the simple stuff. I kind of hope that
I think so. We remain human, Clive, and humans need contact. We need intimacy. We need it. We want it. We crave it.
Yeah.
I think even if there is a bit of a cultural thing that sort of spirals because of COVID and because of where we're at, you know, technologically, I think humans still remain humans, and at some point it'll make a full circle. It has to. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I can't. Every time I see someone, you know, at the flip and pick and pay, I'm like, hi, you know,
Yeah.
how are you?
Yeah.
It's so nice to see people,
Yeah.
you know.
I know I got a delivery the other day, and I was so excited to see the delivery guy. I kept him busy for about a half an hour just asking about his family and his life. And I was like, tell me about you. Just make contact with me, damn it. So it's very nice. So have you missed the contact? How has lockdown been for you? What has your experience been?
I kind of feel like for me, it's been everything. It's been up and down, like I think most people. At first, I was, you know, those first initial. Firstly, I want to kind of talk about like how absurdly quickly everything changed. I
Yeah.
kind of heard about, you know, COVID through a friend of mine that lives in China, and I was a bit like, you know, I don't know when this was. This was in January or something, and I was like, "Sheesh, that's crazy." You know, this pandemic, blah blah blah. Then I spoke to a friend of mine in Italy, somewhere like late Feb, and she was like, whoa, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And we were still planning to possibly go to Greece in May,
Sure.
and suddenly, like, boom, like, as you know, like it just
Yeah.
catapulted, and it just kind of went so that was pretty wild. It was like a wildfire, you know, that kind of hit us.
Yeah, I don't think
But
any of us were prepared at all. It was just
no,
suddenly COVID-19's here. It's dangerous now. Lock yourselves up.
yeah, you know, I was like, what? Um, but initially, I was extremely pro the first 3 weeks. I was very, very pro, very proud of our government, like, you know, how proactive they were. And I think initially that's what most South Africans felt the first 3 weeks. And then, of course, we had to do the extended thing of like 5. And that, you know, I don't want to talk politics, but that came with its own level of like, oof, how are we going to do this economically, et cetera, et cetera. But within that whole time frame, I've been through various ups and downs. I mean, I really have. From, you know, in the beginning, I was quite good at cleaning, and I had a whole thing about like every day I have to write down what I'm thankful for. You know, I think I stopped at day like 23. Like I was just like, I can't do this any. So, you know, and then I would go into I think I kind of went into a thing of like, this is unnatural. Like I'm not, you know, I'm not coping as a human being. I need nature. For me, nature is so. Willem and I, you know, we're great sort of wilderness people. We love the Cedarburg, and we love the mountains in Montague, and you know, not being able to go into nature is like devastating for us, and we crave people. So I went through this whole array of stuff. But I can honestly say that I've finally, after 8 weeks or however, God knows how long it's been, I've really gotten to a place of acceptance. Like, I'm just like, you know what? 2020 is different. And I've stopped putting like a date or a month or whatever where it's all going to end. And I've completely embraced this as the new normal for 2020, but absolutely knowing that this too shall pass. Like it's not going to pass, you know, but I we have to embrace it, because I think what kept on destroying me was having expectations and then that not being met, you know, and then I kind of had to reshuffle, you know, and then having another expectation and that wouldn't be met. And then and I always say, sorry, I feel like I'm blabbing, but I always say to Willem, I can pretty much, I'm one of those people, I feel like I'm quite strong and resilient, and I can pretty much deal with anything if you tell me honestly. What I struggle with is if you feed me a bit of BS, trying to mollycoddle me and trying to make it softer, and then I expect something and then, you know, the opposite happens. So that's been really interesting in terms of also just figuring out how your mind works, and then letting go of that as well, you know, just saying, okay, well, you can't control any of it, not even your expectations, like just surrender, you know. And then suddenly now I'm just like, well, here we are, you know.
Oh.
Until 2020, you know, this is at the end. I don't know.
Whenever this madness ends. I love what you just said, because and doing these videos has been amazing for me, because there's been themes that have emerged, and so much of it is what we've all felt, that, you know, we've spoken in previous videos about. There was the camaraderie almost around us going into lockdown, where we did feel like we were in this together. And then Brent, who I interviewed a few days ago, he spoke about the anticipatory grief, where what happened is that we've kind of gone through these stages, and one of the stages is anger, that we go through in terms of grieving. And I think we really are grieving normality, contact, nature, being able to just express ourselves as we used to, with each other, you know, wanting to just give people a hug. We can't do that anymore. And the final stage of grief is, you know, we go through bargaining. I think the first stage we all went through with COVID was denial. I mean, I don't know how many conversations I had with people, and they were like, it's just flu, you know, it's just like, you know, TB kills more people. You know, it's not a big thing. And now you see them on Facebook, you know, save lives, wear a mask, because we've gone through this stage of like moving from denial to getting to this point of acceptance. I find I vacillate. I do feel like I'm in acceptance, and then something will happen that sets me off, which starts the whole process of anger all over again. But anger, acceptance is, I think such a beautiful place for you to get to, because how else are we going to deal with our present unless we just accept that this is the moment we live in, and this is
and
it.
I think acceptance mixed with a healthy dollop of hope, and mixed with a healthy dollop of gratitude. You know, I don't think it's a passive acceptance of going, oh well, here we are. This sucks. It's a positive acceptance. It's knowing what you have in the midst of the situation that's good and life-giving and joyous, and at the same time having hope. And that's why I love you using the word resilience the whole time. It's because for me, hope and resilience is wildly connected.
Absolutely.
And while we were struggling to fall pregnant, the whole article in the Roy Rooster is about it, so I don't mind talking about it. But the one thing that got me through that whole time was resilience, and was the connecting the dots in my mind that resilience was all about knowing in your mind that organic matter, life as we know it, is forever evolutionary. It evolves all the time. So even though you feel stuck, it's just a feeling. You're not stuck, because you will wake up tomorrow or next month or in 2025 and you will be in a different reality. It's the very nature of life. And so it is a funny thing, isn't it? It's kind of like a tightrope of understanding what that acceptance looks like, you know?
Yeah. And I love that. I love that positive acceptance, because you're the first person who's mentioned that. And I kind of feel like that's actually gold, because there is a kind of like, it is what it is, versus, hey, what am I going to do with this? This is the moment. How can I positively move forward? You mentioned hope, so you've mentioned gratitude, and that's come up a lot. But what are you hopeful about when you say that you've attached hope to your resilience and to your acceptance?
Well, I think I'm hopeful about something more mattery, and then I'm hopeful about something more spiritual. So I think on the matter level, I'm hopeful about the day that I can be on set again, the day I can take my baby with confidence to a park with other babies and mothers, and we can drink champagne and hug each other, and she can know that was not normal. This is normal, you know. And Willem and I can take her into the Cedarburg, and we can go and camp with some beautiful friends, and you know, hug each other around the fire or whatever. So I'm kind of hopeful of those real life realities shifting. And then in the more spiritual way, I'm hopeful of, and these things are difficult to put words to, but I feel like within myself, you know, I think you're confronted with the idea of death during this whole thing. Sure. I think you're confronted with the whole thing of what am I if I don't have my constants or my ego structures, you know, going out and being like, hi, you know, or having fun or having a great meal or, you know, whatever. We all human, we all we all have things that very easily make us happy. So what if all of that is stripped away You know, who am I, and what's my identity? And it's all of that stuff, you know, it's deeply spiritual. So I'm kind of hopeful for, because I can already see it chipping away of things sort of molding into a beautiful place. It's not there. I don't think it'll ever be there until the day we die. But I kind of feel like, I hope that on a spiritual level, after this whole thing ends, that I'll walk out of it understanding a little bit more about who I am, apart from all the stuff that supposedly gives me, you know, I don't know, that thing, that zing, that energy, you know, maybe it's within, and I don't know, you know, so it's a conversation.
Yeah. Where I was talking to a friend of mine recently who's a very hard worker. And he basically works, you know, one of those guys who gets up, he starts work at 5 a.m. and finishes at 8 p.m. He works in a gym, so he's a trainer.
I'm glad I'm not married to him.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can call it a marriage, but anyway, I hope he's not listening. Hey, but yeah, he's crazy busy, works Saturdays, and it's been so amazing. And it's what you were saying in terms of being stripped away. Is he was having this conversation with me, and he was telling me that he's realized by this kind of having his entire, I mean, he's a trainer at the gym. Gyms are closed. He literally can do nothing except watch Netflix, and I think he's watched everything on Netflix. But he said to me is that, and I said to him, I said, you must be desperate to get back. And he said, I am. But he said, I've realized that I need to do less, because by having almost been stripped away to doing nothing, he's almost been able to, and you've called it a spiritual thing, but it's almost like he's kind of reconnected with what he really wants, which I thought was a really beautiful takeout out of lockdown, is that he was coming and saying, I actually, like you said, I wouldn't want to be married to him. And I think he's realized, spending time with his wife now, that actually I need this. This is feeding my soul. And I think that's why I love that you spoke about that with hope, that kind of stripping away. And I think a lot of us have gone back to, like, what really makes me happy? Like, what am I missing? Because what I'm missing is a clue as to what I should add into my life, if that makes sense.
What if this whole pandemic, I mean, it's very easy to talk about this stuff, all spiritual and philosophical and intellectual, until you're the person that loses your job, or you can't pay your bond, or, you know, feed your children or whatever. So I'm very aware of that. But what if this pandemic is, in reality, truly the world's biggest gift? What if that is true, you know? And then how can we respond to that, you know? And I guess you see, it's interesting. I've heard from so many people this whole slowing down benefit and the gift of that, and I haven't felt that, because I'm a mother of a year. So there's no slowing down for me. Like, I feel like I've been busier than I mean, before I had a baby, I would, you know how it is when you're an actress, Clive. I mean, you were my agent for a while, but I mean, on any given day, you're a bit like, well, what should I do? I could go to the bank. I could go to a movie, but I could go and see a friend. I could read that script, but I could also, you know. So I had so much time before I had a baby, and now, you know, my time is just, I've got to be so disciplined with my time, and I've got none, even during this COVID time. But I think I experienced what your friend was talking about in a different way. So what I love is that, depending where you're at in the season of your life, you'll still sort of learn the same lesson. It'll just sort of be in a different way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Tell me about being a mom of a 7-month-old daughter in lockdown, where, sorry?
Almost 8 months, yeah.
Almost 8 months, sorry. And being a mom, it pretty much, I'm sure you know, most of us are used to having some kind of help. There's you in with your husband 24/7 now, baby 24/7. How is lockdown? I don't have a child, so my dogs have been lovely, but I could not imagine having someone who needs my attention 24/7 while I'm in lockdown 24/7. So tell me how that's been for you.
And it's been such a process. Like, the first 3 weeks, even though the time with her has been incredibly special and just lovely, it's fascinating being a mother. But even though that time has been special, the first 3 weeks was really, really tough. Willem worked harder than he's ever worked, because he's working from home. And of course, home time becomes office time, becomes whatever. So it's all very blurred. So he's in front of the computer like from 6 to like 8. And of course, we're super privileged in this country with domestic workers. So, you know, to be honest, I'm a terrible cleaner. You know, I know how to keep things tidy and relatively clean, but I don't go into the nitty gritty, you know. So I was having a tough time. I was moaning and grumbling and complaining in my head, trying not to on the outside, but, you know, really feeling it. And then my husband actually took off 2 weeks to help me. And just to sort of, you know, change the feeling vibe in the house. And then we had an amazing 2 weeks. You know, he wasn't working. We were yogaing in the morning on the stoop. And I don't know, you're in Joburg at the moment. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
We had this time in Cape Town of like remarkable autumn weather. It was honestly the most astonishing autumn in Cape Town ever.
Wow.
So we'd sit on the stoop and do yoga in the mornings, and it was just the best. And clean the house together, and he would really sort of work hard and, you know, get all of that stuff done. And then I think acceptance came. And then when he had to go back to work again, like 3 weeks ago or whatever, I think, you know, we just started getting better at cleaning and also lowering your standards a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But domestic workers can come back next week, right?
Yes. So when people watch this, we'll already have been started level 3. So yes, so they are back by the time you're watching this. So that should, but you also realize what a life of privilege we lead. Because, you know, and I've realized that how grateful I need to be for what I have. Because also I'm the same. I mean, there's suddenly things I'm like, oh, that actually gets cleaned. It doesn't stay clean. Someone has to do that. Oh, wow, that's amazing. And I'm spoiled. It really has been a different way of living.
Yeah. No, I'm very spoiled in that way as well. I'm very about that. Yeah.
And then in terms of self-soothing, you said that you do yoga, what do you do to keep yourself resilient at the time? What do you do is Erica time, is my time to keep you strong?
Yeah, once again, I'm a mother, so that has dwindled. But I do try and, you know, walk with her this between 6 and 9 every single day. Some days Willem come with, and we do like a whole track, you know, as far as we can, within the 5-kilometer perimeters. And then so walking is amazing for me. Any kind of physical activity sort of gets me out of my head and into my body. And then I think, in the beginning, I was pretty good with yoga. I haven't done yoga in a while, in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm not going to pretend like I do yoga every day, but I did in the beginning, and then it kind of dwindled. Every now and again, slapping on a good scrub and a mask, you know, shaving my legs every now and again. I mean, it's basic stuff, Clive.
So, do you know, one of the things, it's a skill that you learn in something called DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. And one of the most powerful ways of regaining control of your emotions is to self-soothe. And they don't just tell you what self-soothing means. You've got to define it for you. And one of the things I've realized that is self-soothing for me is also when I clip in my beard. Because the first 3 weeks of lockdown, I grew it, and eventually I felt like I looked like a ragged old man. And making self-grooming, I realized, is like just taking care of myself was a self-soothing thing. And I needed to do this because when we got into lockdown, we felt like we sometimes didn't need to look after ourselves anymore. Who was going to see us? You know, you're putting on makeup today, you know, that it's exciting to be able to do that and a reason to do that because it's a self-soothing thing. So I was talking to you before we started recording about how literally on Friday last week, I had a bit of a breakdown. And up until Sunday where I couldn't get out of bed, and I've spoken about it in these videos a lot. But one of the things I decided to do is I had a bath. And that's where the idea of these videos came from, because a bath, just simply doing, and I don't bath, I'm a showerer, you know, it's not my norm. But I just decided to take this time out in the midst of not doing very much during a day because I don't have children, but I decided to take just complete me time, sit in the bath. I had bubbles and everything. And I just decided to self-soothe. And it was that moment that made me come back. And that's what resilience is for me, is about finding those moments of saying, it isn't about getting all like, oh, I'm doing yoga every day or writing gratitude journals. Those are great. But it's sometimes the simple things of saying, I'm going to shave my legs. And I love that you said that, because that for me is resilience, is remembering that we matter.
Yeah, I think why I love walking so much is probably also what you experienced in the bath, without trying to get all spiritual, but just stillness. You know, I can imagine you lying in that bath and the only thing you're hearing is the bloop, bloop of, you know, the tap that's not closed entirely. Or, you know, when I walk and Stella is like staring at the trees and she's loving it, and it's just my heartbeat, my breath, you know. And I don't know, there's something about stillness and just breathing and then going, okay, here I am. You know, there's something about that. I got to tell you that we still have wine, which has also been a great help. I'm not going to lie. You know, because what happened, actually, it's quite a funny story. But obviously, I was pregnant the whole of last year. So Willem has acquired this like obsession with ordering wine online of the time that I was pregnant. And I kept on saying to him, dude, you have seriously got to stop ordering wine. Like, you know, this is, and he kept saying, no, but it's like for later and whatever. And you know what, it was for later. I think we've still got about 32 bottles left, but
what's your address?
Yeah. No, but just wait till Monday.
I know,
but,
Monday.
But now we're into his special wine, so we're going to be so poor. We're going to be so poor after this lockdown.
Yeah. And that's self-soothing. Is sometimes for some people that's a glass bottle of wine, you know, between the two of you is, and it's amazing how much wine has come up in these discussions that I've had with people. It's one of the things, I think, what we're so aware of what's being taken away from us in this time, and it is, and the people who have been very, very vocal about the fact that I still have wine, and the people, those of us who are like, the government has wronged me. I am scarred because I can't have my Sauvignon Blanc at 10 o'clock in the morning. So, so it is different. Well, I'm very glad that you have wine. Erica, I want to wrap up because of this, you know, or else we're getting too long, and I've loved chatting to you. I've loved your take on this in terms of you've brought a spiritual element and a peace element, which I love. We haven't spoken about this in the previous episodes, of finding those moments of stillness. And I always say that this video is, if one person just realizes something for them that's going to make them feel a bit tougher in this time, or more resilient in this time. And if someone just realizes that maybe I need to go for a walk and look at the trees, I think we've done our job in these videos. And I think that that's really beautiful. And I really appreciate that you've said that. I want to ask if you have anything that you want to tell your fans. Look, you know, I know how well loved you are in the community, but what do you want to, about lockdown, about resilience? Is there anything that you want to add to this conversation?
I don't know if it's about adding, but I just, while you were talking now, I thought about, you know, I guess one of the links to peace for me during this whole time. And I really think it's Stella. She keeps me extremely present, you know, and I don't think that is a given when you're a parent. In fact, I think it's quite the contrary, because there's so much to do and you're so exhausted, and you know, there's a constant dying to your own selfishness because you have to, you know, give and adhere to this little creature, you know, fully, and sort of sacrifice of yourself. So I don't think it's a given, but I do think that because of lockdown, and because I haven't been able to outsource, you know, get a nanny, get a domestic worker, go to friends, you know, do a little thing. It's just been me and her, and she's kept me incredibly present and incredibly just with my feet like flat on earth, going like, this is not boring, this is beautiful, you know. So there's something about that, about just sitting and being present and taking it all, you know. It's that whole thing of there's this quote, Willem and I talk about it a lot. Sorry, I will wrap up.
No,
but,
no.
where the guy says, I don't even know who said it, but he says, my life has been a series of terrible events, none of which ever happened. And so, it's if you really think about where you're at right now, look, there are people in terrible situations right now, and my heart breaks for them. And then I'm fully aware of how thankful I am. But for most of us, for a lot of us in this situation, if you think about where you're at right now, you're probably somewhere in your living room, you have warm water, you have food in the fridge, you somehow have family that can help you out with that bill you can't pay, or if you're lucky, one of the lucky ones, you still have your job. We can communicate with our loved ones far away. And I just think, like, if you just think about right here, right now, you've got your dog to look at. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're actually okay, which leads me to my final thoughts. And the other day, I don't know if you got that meme or that piece of writing that was going around WhatsApp for a while, but like, if you were born in 1902, like, by the time you were 12, it was the First World War, then the Spanish flu hit, then it was the Second World War, then it was the Great Depression, then it was the Korean War. So, but point is, by the time you're 45, like, the amount of hardship, and I think we're so used to, because our generation is one of luxury and privilege, we're not used to not having our way now. And in a way, this is nothing compared to the Spanish flu or the First World War or the Second World War or the Holocaust, or and I just kind of think, like, guys, like, we can do this. This is super tough, but we can do this. We're going to get through this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love that you're doing these chats and these talks, because ultimately we need to encourage each other and build community. And at the same time, while we're saying I'm freaking out, to also say it's okay to freak out, but you're going to be okay. And I guess that's what it's about. So thanks for having the epiphany in the bath
Sure.
and doing these things. Yeah,
It's been fun. I've got to reconnect with so many people that I love. I loved what you just said. And so I want to I know I keep saying I want to wrap, but I never end up wrapping up when I say I want to wrap up, because I love these conversations. But one of the things that we expect that we should cope, but what we don't realize is that coping requires us to look for the things that will make us cope. And it's what you just said now, where you've got to look for the stuff what I have. You've got to actually, and it's
active. You've got to be alive.
Yeah, you've got to be present. And actually, not coping is hard work, because it takes a decision to say, look what I have. I have a daughter that I longed for, that I get. Some people are desperate to resign from their jobs to spend time with their families. And I've been given a gift of, for 6 weeks, 60 days, it's you and her and your husband. Those are gifts that I'm putting words in your mouth, but that's that some people dream of, and we don't recognize those gifts. We're so busy looking at what we've lost. And I think we need to look at what we have in these moments.
Exactly, which connects back to what we said earlier on, which is the spiritual stuff, the unseen stuff, the stuff without matter, And what's the writer from Man's Search for Meaning?
Viktor Frankl.
Yes, I mean, that whole book is all about, ultimately, I mean, it's about many things, but ultimately it's about discovering your attitude towards difficulty.
Yeah.
And that's we're talking about it. Yeah, and finding meaning in it.
Yeah, well, that's the whole logotherapy thing that he created. Sorry, the whole thing that he created was, he said that the people who survived in the concentration camps were the people who found meaning. The people who died, except obviously if they were gassed or murdered or whatever, but the people who almost allowed themselves to die were people who gave up, who stopped looking for meaning, whether that be they sold cigarettes, they looked after kids. And that's why that book is so incredibly powerful. There was something else I wanted to add onto that. I was a huge Oprah fan, kind of growing up, and you got to watch Oprah. Yeah, absolutely. And I used to watch the series whenever I could, one of her episodes. And I remember her talking to a mother who, or not talking to a mother, talking to a family who had lost their mother recently. But the mother
Wow.
had written a series of letters to the children for when they turn 18. And so
Oh, wow.
every
Mm,
they spoke about her
mm,
doing this. She was still alive, so at that point. So it was speaking about like what she was going to miss. And they asked the one child, and they said, well, what favorite memories do you have of mommy? And she said, the other morning we sat and we had cornflakes together.
sure.
And that moment was so powerful because it wasn't that
Mm,
they took me to Disney World or anything, but
sure.
we just got to
Mm,
sit together and have cornflakes. And I wonder
mm,
how many people have realized that in lockdown, maybe their children are going to walk away and say that lockdown was amazing because daddy, for the first time, wasn't working. Daddy
present, yeah.
was present, and I think we have opportunity here to just do
Right.
things maybe a little bit differently.
I think it would be devastating if this thing came and went and 90% of the world didn't receive and respond to the possible gift that it is. I
Yeah.
think it would be fantastic if 50% of the world would respond and react to the possible gift that we've been given. Just 50%, not everyone, because it's all a journey, and also there's stuff that you learn and then you have to relearn it again because we're so stupid as humans, aren't we? But not stupid, that sounds terrible, but you know what I mean? Like sometimes we have to
Yeah, no, I
relearn.
know.
Um, yeah, so let's see. Look, I'm the first person to just wish it all over in a sense. I can't wait for a big fat oxtail stew like party with wine and great conversation, and and at the same time, I don't know when that day is going to come. Is it going to be 1 March 2021? Is it going to be 1 October 2020?
So all we can do is accept where we are right now. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that's going to keep us in control.
And laughter.
And
A
laugh.
lot of laughter.
Yes. I'm very lucky. I have a partner who cracks very corny jokes, and they're so bad that I laugh every single time. So I feel quite grateful in lockdown that I have that. Erica, it's been so lovely to connect with you and to speak with you. I've learned so much in this time, and you have such a beautiful way of seeing the world. And I really hope it resonates with people, that they can just see the need for meaning, the need for love, the need for appreciation, the need for beauty, and just
Mm.
loving what's around us. I think that's so special. And I hope that I get to connect over an oxtail stew with wine and hugs with you someday soon. It would be amazing. So yeah.
Yes. Why do you live in Joburg these days?
Why do I?
uh,
Pretty Cape Town. I miss pretty Cape Town. So
Listen,
yeah,
it's great seeing your face and chatting to you. Yeah, it's really been cool. Thanks so much.
lovely. And thank you for what you brought to the interview. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, we will chat to you hopefully soon.
Bye.